Yes, that would be Radzad Khan. Hardly anyone has been allowed in or out since our troubles with the tower began. The faithful citizens huddle inside the city walls, and commerce has all but ground to a standstill. I pity the satrap, the trials he must be facing. Well, he is the most important person in Radzad Khan. Long ago, this island was home to two tribes of Matanga, the Gajasura and the Arkasodra. When the Aura came to these shores, it was the Arkasodra with whom they joined forces. Together they defeated the warlike Gajasura, forcing them to flee Thavnair altogether. Peace and prosperity reigned for a time, until a clan of Hjord from the mainland decided they wanted the island for themselves. It was a direct ancestor of the present satrap who arbitrated that conflict and welded the warring factions into the nation we know today. And ever since, a member of that esteemed lineage has inherited this somewhat unique position. You see, by and large, the state is run by the people, but when problems arise, it is the satrap who mediates a solution. The stability provided by the satrap is what has allowed Radzad Khan to thrive all these years. And it was the satrap himself who entrusted us with this duty. We will not fail him, nor our countrymen.
What is the delay with the vessel? I told you I need to adjust those ratios.
I come all this way to admire one of my splendid towers, and what do I find? Fools attempting to ward off its tempering influence with magic trinkets. I seem to recall a similar experiment in ages past. What was that man's name? Oh, something? Owen? Another body, another time. Who could be expected to remember every trivial detail?
Allowing them to construct such handy talismans would be counterproductive to my plans. And yet, I find myself deathly curious. Complications be damned, for we cannot escape the nature of our souls. And I, as ever, am my own worst enemy.
go. Ah, that's annoying. Anyways, so this is Endwalker, and we're currently in what's basically the game's version of India. Yeah. Now with the elephants and the voices being culturally sounds similar to Indian.
I see our taskmasters have allowed you a moment's respite as well.
Hello?
You have to hand it to these alchemists. They are determined to see this endeavor of theirs succeed.
Yeah, gotta admire it.
I've never been one for blind optimism, but I sincerely get the sense they're close to a breakthrough.
They had better be, or all this effort was for naught.
The peoples of Eorzea, of the Far East, of Thavner, children of this star united in common cause against a dire threat. Yet ere they succumbed to suicidal madness, were not the Telophoroi born of her body as were we? They who cling to life and the promise of the morrow's dawn, against they who desire death and an ending of their own orchestration. The victors of this war alone will hold the right to answer the question of existence, of its meaning.
Poetic and ominous to a fault. That said, if it's an existential debate in nature, then our arguments might not be as persuasive as you'd think. Fandaniel wants to die and take everyone with him in an orgy of pain and suffering. An utterly vile and unforgivable idea. And yet, when spat upon by fate and wailing in the deepest pit of despair, who among us can say they have not entertained similar thoughts?
True.
There are nights black as pitch, bereft of hope, and no words of comfort can reach you. And it's all you can do to grit your teeth and choke back the bile.
The more you see and suffer life's injustices, the more difficult they become to bear. Vengeance is nurtured in similar soil.
True.
Though your anger has a broader focus, the sentiment is much the same. A fervent desire to destroy others, to see them drown in torment, as you have.
That about sums it up. The will to endure is not always as strong as the urge to burn it all down and salt the earth. Survival be damned. It's a struggle, often close and brutal.
Indeed. Well, I, for one, shall pray survival proveth more appealing in the end.
As will I. Besides, our chances are much improved when we've the company of others committed to the cause of life. Our vengeful dragoon here is proof of that.
True.
What is it? What did you see?
Being dumbass, you'll.
Fandaniel, are you sure? If he knows we've been working on a countermeasure.
Oh, he already knows.
It holds. The vessel holds! This is the one!
At long last!
Well. Seems they've had a breakthrough.
Look! We have finally created a talisman strong enough to withstand our experiments. We've named it a warding scale for the time being. With this in your possession, your soul should be completely shielded from corruptive ether.
Nice.
Afforded such protection, any one of us may approach the towers without fear. Thou hast mine admiration. 'Tis an invention of historical significance.
Indeed.
I thank you for your kind words. But I would prefer you keep them unsaid until we test the talisman's efficacy in the field.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It is for the next stage of our plan that we summoned you in the first place, to accompany me to the Tower of Zot. Should the scale prove effective, as I very much hope it will, then you'll have little to do. But should the effect be weaker than anticipated, I must ask that you restrain me, or knock me senseless.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I like you too much.
Either way, we are fortunate to have you with us.
Nidana, are you certain you wish to do this?
If others are to trust our creations, then we must have faith in them first.
True.
And as the senior researcher, it falls to me to lead by example. But should I fail to return, then learn what you can from this attempt and apply it to the next. Our work must continue. Is that clear?
We'll keep an eye on the place while you're away. Assuming Fandaniel is lurking about, there's no telling what mischief he has in mind for us. Or you. Be on your guard.
You too.
Shall we be on our way? I'll have one of the soldiers at the hatchery prepare us a boat, and we can set out from the northern shore. I'll see you there.
Sounds good.
We should soon cross the threshold of the tower's influence.
Hopefully it won't affect you.
Any moment now. It's working! And you are still yourself? Then I'd like to see how it fares closer to the tower if we could.
Of course I'm still myself, and like you, I can not be affected by it at all. Mainly because I'm technically tempered to Heidelin. Uh-oh.
So far, so good. The scale's protection appears to be holding. If we can just make it to the tower's entrance. few more steps. Praise be to the sisters, we made it!
Hey, Rock.
And the scale has proven itself to be everything we hoped it would be.
Well,
Now we can focus on production. Once we've equipped and returned with an entire survey team, this menace will soon give up its secrets.
oh crap. That's not good. Well, this is creepy. Much bigger than the tower we saw with Ffxiv.
Oh, let me go! Oh, let me go! Oh!
Oh, do calm down. You'll only hurt yourself thrashing about like that.
Oh, fuck off.
Stop! Oh, you can't do this! Please!
No.
A little late for heroics, I'm afraid.
Oh, fuck off.
The similarities are striking. My! Such hostility! Never before has my artistry so displeased. My patrons of old would have positively squealed in delight, though, between you and me, I find gushing praise exhausting.
Patrons of old.
Allow me to tell you a story. Surely you've yet to hear the one about Van Daniel, the sundered Ascian.
No.
I inherited the position and the soul of the Van Daniel who sat on the convocation in the time of the final days, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, that fact is of no consequence. I was born and lived as, well, me. Eventually, I was recruited into the Ascians and imbued with the former Van Daniel's knowledge and memories, but I never felt that they were truly a part of who I am. How to explain? Perhaps if I told you who I was before my Ascian embrace, although that chapter too is a past I've long since discarded. I have it on good authority you've poked your nose into an Allegan ruin or two. Yes?
Yeah.
Then I expect you've heard of me. The old me.
At your service.
Wait, I'm on. This son of a...
Imagine a nation of unbridled prosperity. Every need met, day after day of unbroken, unshakable peace. Existence fulfilled and ripe for decay.
So the Amon we fought was just a...
You are a genius without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments? That fool was beside himself with panic when he awoke with the head of a bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing. Oh, the memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe. No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation. Slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot. Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor. And just
So the
as I
Amon we
had
fought
planned,
was just...
he set our wayward
fate.
empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Amon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death. In the end, all is lost.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work. And as fortune would have it, the seat of Fandaniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation. Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself.
Clone.
See what lies ahead.
That's why there's one was clone. That makes sense. Of course, there were a lot of clones there.
The fall of the Empire affirmed the truth. Majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
This is really bad.
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primals. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see you.
Sorry, Nadana. safety. Satrap of Bread's at hand. Yes, technically. But that doesn't really matter if we can't free her. I do wonder what he meant by the warding skills are similar to something Owen made or whatever. Well, that was fast. Rods at 10.
A vast rock squats upon Ffavnir, and to its stony surface clings the city of Rhods at Han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things.
Fancy.
Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets.
Ilsabard, Ratzathan.
But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are, Megaduta. It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside.
Ratzathan.
Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, satrap of Radzatan. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude. A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
As you wish.
Oh. Justinian knew right away that this was bullshit.
You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me. Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn.
Well, there's the dragon.
I am Vritra, and for years uncounted hath this isle served as mine abode.
Vritra, of the First Brood, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
So this is where
Aye, mine elder brothers, of Midgard's Sorma's spawn. I was last to hatch.
I'm sure he'd be happy to see you again.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radzat Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively.
True.
In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive with the Aura, adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radzat Han.
But if Vritra is still here, then your position as satrap is just...
a figurehead.
A charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the Great Worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end. I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who joined me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
"'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh. The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Radzat Han. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my wit."
Huh. Neat. Explains a lot.
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
I am woven with words fashioned to deceive such arcane senses.
No.
Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered. Estinian warm-blood.
Indeed.
From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another. Yet did neither one of us bare his fangs.
Well, Estinians learned to not be such an ass.
That is all I need know of thee for now.
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the First Brood, but as the ruler of Radzat Han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence. Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
What do you say about 4 people?
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a surer path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down the false gods in Pagelthan and Cartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip. Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions, and should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk.
Indeed.
Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales.
That would be very good.
I worry, however, that even the 4 of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go. Steel your hearts and hone your...
It seems a quick trip back to Sharlayan is in order.
Wilt thou not lend thine aid?
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Rads at Han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
Alright. That was very interesting. Now to doing the other side. I guess I need to do both in order to get this on. Unsurprisingly. based on wisdom. Yes, hello. Ffxiv. Remain banter with a smile. Okay, I have to pick this just for the lulz. You don't need to butter me up, you know. So I ordered one of the most expensive things on the menu. Dang. I thought that would work. The last few in the big lobster's mind, you have no idea how long I scrumped and saved the suffering for this dish. Final days? That's the first I've ever heard. Although that would explain why my friend did stuff. Speed. Okay then. Snow.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Sharlayan? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alphino, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family.
I guess it does.
If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
Yeah, well, it's better not to linger on it. It's a little suspicious.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility.
Makes sense.
Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual?
That is a rather peculiar thing.
Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum.
Shocking.
If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Clever girl. The labyrinthine descent.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
The Northern Empty Labyrinthos. Music seems familiar.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today.
Almost as if they need to.
It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
I can't imagine why.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh.
Kryl? You okay?
Did you call to me just now?
No.
No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's...
That was odd. I'm sure she's fine. One second. Okay. Trail. That's a lie. I'm sure Kyle's completely fine. Just a headache. That's bizarre. Hey, Aaron Bill. Gotcha. I got it.
Fair shot. Nicely done. Let me truss this one up, and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations?
So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh,
very good question.
It's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn... Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a cleaner's duties.
Makes sense.
But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
Below?
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth.
Yeah, that's not disturbing.
Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation.
Nor would you ever be.
But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research.
Maybe they're building an ark.
I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
Mericidia.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species, too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
True.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion, then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo, mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will, of course, follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
True. That's disappointing.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you'd do well to turn back. I bid you good day.
Thanks, Aaronville. It was nice meeting you.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
Sorry. I did attune to this. No, I did not.
Hard to look away, isn't it?
He's still not a human. Well, I did have a cold a while ago, but no, I do not have a cold right now. I just have a chronic cough. It sucks.
But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion. You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Sharlayan at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin. To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence.
Oops.
Have you learned aught of interest?
Heart blooms.
A flower that reacts to one's feelings? Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
Well, why would they?
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the arcade?
There's Erenville.
Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member? Or at least a close associate?
That is a likely possibility.
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Well, we're a bit beyond that.
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
True.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all...
Grail? You okay?
Cryo?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
Just something you clearly weren't paying attention to.
Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
I can almost reach you.
What are you talking about, Crown? Makes sense. Hippity hop, my little toads. Freaking toad spell. Ribbit. Custom transfiguration. Why not? Changed into a toad. Let's not croak. Alpha Toad and Alpha Toad are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with the quest objectives. Hippity hoppity, I'm coming for your property. That means still relevant, right? Now let's just have a fate show up right there. That's fair. This is totally awesome. Get it? Totally awesome. so far. Like, I can't wait to see, like, the dungeons, primals, all that. Ribbit. Alpha Toad attempts to, and fails to shake his head. You know, nevertheless, understand that he's telling you this is the wrong way. Okay. Yak cow. Or yak per cow.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Sharlayan scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Sharlayan was charged with a momentous duty.
Oh?
And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge.
And what would that be?
I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now, but unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
True.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full.
Oh, he's smarter than he looks.
While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
I like you. Hope you don't end up like Nahana.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
Who the hell sees toads in the middle of a forest?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
Plus, you're literally in a forest. That's like, not really... If it was a rainforest, sure, but no. Of course, those are creek frogs, but... You get the point. A guide of sorts. Both of you have a fair point. Yeah. Yeah, let's pretend to be toads in the middle of a, you know, biome that's not really made for toads. And try to trick a guy whose job is to study, survey, and, you know, capture animals. It's a good thing it was on our side. Well, not small toads anyways, obviously these kind of toads fit, but that's because they're monsters. Should have disguised myself as a Ronin toad and perhaps not the best option in hindsight. Yeah, no shit. Search for Kryl. They're a little wayward. Lala. She better not be lollygagging. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. I guess she'd be near the heart blooms. Okay. What you doing?
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting.
Oh. Well, thanks.
She said you would need it for the journey ahead.
Who did?
Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Oh.
Thank you.
Eidolon.
Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest.
Makes sense.
After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wish that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free, to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow.
That's always been my job.
Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
They really like this song. I'm sure that book took out a lot about you.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out.
It was Heidelin.
Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first. So weak and tense once I took hold of that wispy thread. Imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go.
Indeed.
Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower.
We'll know what it means in time.
Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Uh-oh. That can't be good.
Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Gee, I wonder.
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian. A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Yeah, I guess we could have been more subtle about that.
We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
Foreign elements? Most of us are from Sharlayan.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city.
Oh,
as for your absence...
Oops.
Grah! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Oh. That's not good.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy to negotiate.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
And I can't believe you're their father. Seriously.
Forgive me. I was careless.
Well, we all were.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order.
Barnier.
This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn.
I mean, we technically are associates of Baldessian.
These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Oh, fuck you.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
Also, this is the first time I've ever seen her hairstyle. It's cute. I know not the best time to talk about this, but still.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front.
Clearly those.
Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age-long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
Well told.
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Oh hey, my mask is off.
Then it seems your findings support my own.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society.
Indeed.
And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
That's oddly specific.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea.
Huh.
You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Sorry, was he just force-choked?
Yes. We are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on.
How?
We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Ffxiv, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given?
True.
Now, if we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
So you're gonna tell us what the hell's going on?
Order! We will have order! Master Montaigne raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldesion are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlayan. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences.
Fortunately, we don't have much of a choice on that matter right now.
Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Stay in the city, but we can do little, but, you know, taking the view. Oh. Glad to see that you're not as asshole-ish as your husband. Millions, Olivier, at your service. Infant, must be the Santon, blah blah blah. Well, one does not argue with their own mother.
Welcome home, my lady.
Fancy.
What? What are you gawping at?
Well, you're rich.
I'll have you know I'm quite fond of the Rising Stones.
Hey, me too. But still, you guys are rich. Or you were disowned after all.
Lord Fortuneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
Master Alphino, Mistress Alice, if you would accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
Curious to see what their gifts are.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep me from worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scion's coin and other such donations.
That was very nice of you.
Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. 'Tis clear that they have come to find value in every experience.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name. 'Tis plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them. Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits.
Alright. remember where this song which was playing as soon as we entered Labyrinthos. It sounds like sounds similar to the song that's used during the casual events of Deadly Premonition series, which is kind of weird, but yeah. It's got that same kind of melody to it. Sorry. Bit phlegm. Ooh.
When you mentioned gifts, I wasn't sure what to expect.
Well, I wasn't expecting new treads.
Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphino.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore. And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become.
Aww.
See for yourself.
Thank you for the splendid clothes, Mother. Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you would allow me, Master Alphino.
That kind of cheery music doesn't really fit in these, like, in this, well, Labyrinthos, and obviously Deadly Premonition.
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father.
Huh. So Alphino's gone from a summoner to a sage. That's rather rude. I like summoner. If that wasn't obvious. Well, I guess
Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days. As a student, he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now. And also because it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry.
She really just winked. I assume by expensive artistry you made your kits.
I am told these devices are quite difficult to master. But someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb. May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
Well, hopefully that will be resolved. Or he'll die. Not that I wish that upon him, but, you know.
We will, Mother. I promise.
Okay, maybe I do wish it upon him a little.
My final gifts to you, before you run off, are an observation and a suggestion.
Pray tell.
Firstly, Ffxiv has ever been a serious man, but it was only after you were born that he truly lost himself in his work.
Oh, that's kind of ironic.
I may not know the Forum's inner workings, but I know your father's. The timing of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work.
Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Did she seriously just tell her kids to be troublemakers? Well, more than usual.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts, and farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.
Well, you're the one who invited me, so... Oh, you just meant in general. Okay. Look at those short though. Alright. Soon we should be going to the dungeon, which happens to be one of the spires. But you know what? We're going to here, which means the next storyline.
Your time in Ffxiv has certainly been eventful. In my opinion, carrying out Vitra's request and assaulting the Tower of Zot should be our highest priority.
We can sit on it.
I agree. While I still have questions concerning the Forum and their grand undertaking, we have all but exhausted our avenues of investigation. Simply pressing them any harder on the subject will almost certainly result in our expulsion. Therefore, I suggest we explore the ethereal sea connection by way of a letter to Master Matoya, then make our way to Ffxiv.
Now, why would Master Matoya, who studies the ethereal sea very deeply, be useful? I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
I wonder, even with the protection these talismans afford us, what can we hope to achieve once inside the tower? According to Orenvold and Frodola's report, they were unable to free the Emulger. Worse, their attempts triggered the tower's defenses, which led to a summoning of Luna Ifrit.
True.
What does it tell us that the Spires even have such defenses?
That it doesn't want us to interfere with it. Obviously.
Simply pulling a prisoner from the wall is fatal. Thus the direct approach is doomed to failure from the outset. Any further measures to dissuade such actions seem unnecessary. Unless, of course, there is a way to free the prisoners without killing them.
Well,
then it stands to reason that any intruders would be met with overwhelming force.
If there wasn't a way to free them, then, well...
The towers appeared throughout the world in but the twinkling of an eye. 'Twas by magical means these structures were raised, I surmise.
No.
A spire thus conjured must needs be maintained. And I suspect an arcane catalyst, some manner of core, doth lie hidden within. Destroy the core, and the tower ceaseth to be, thus liberating the captives without harm.
At least
so we can hope,
sure.
And I would prefer to enter the tower with a working theory than with no plan at all.
Assuming Ishtola's reasoning is correct, the chances of the defenses remaining dormant are small to none. Any primals will have to be dealt with, And defeating one will likely only lead to the summoning of another. Our every victory will only compound the prisoner's suffering.
May we not then divide our forces? Those proficient in healing will focus on sustaining the captives. That duty can be covered by Urianger, Kryl, Jostola, and myself.
Kryl's a healer?
The remaining scions will proceed with the search for the core. Admittedly, this strategy puts both parties at greater risk, but it should bolster our chances of saving the Arcosodor by a considerable margin.
Are you sure Alpha knows in the right group?
If you're to fight primals, then you'd best have at least one healer with you.
And I am more than happy to fulfill that role. I found wielding a sage's armament to be rather intuitive, and look forward to testing them against a more challenging foe.
It seems we have a plan. All that remains is to carry it out. I will inform Rads at Han of our movements, so let us make our preparations and regroup near the tower.
The military post in what's left of the Hamsa hatchery should serve as a convenient staging point.
That sounds perfect. And remember, the experimental aetherite at the confluence is there for those who need it, so there's no excuse for being late.
Do be wary of the side effects, though. Those suck. Like having a hangover on overdrive. Of course, I've never had a hangover, but you know. Okay. Really gonna miss the use of dots, which was pretty common for summoners. But you know, this new loadout's kind of interesting. Not surprising with every expansion they rework the classes, make them a little more streamlined and all that. Now the question is, do I go with a party, or do I do what's normal, or what's expected, you know? Have the 7th dawn with me. Same Elise. Okay. blessing because it's your skills. I've been waiting for this day. Wouldn't mind carrying on this before, you know. In that case, they're all yours from now on. But I'm afraid you can't just let me retire yet. This is Bransner. Yeah. Though my mic was muted. The last episode, I had made a comment of how the god primals are really, obviously references to the three sisters from Final Fantasy X.
You now. You underestimate me.
You underestimate me!
You're mine!
How you guys doing tonight? Hope you're enjoying the endwalker activity. Hopefully, if you haven't already, you will buy it. Pretty amazing. I'm only so far in. I think I've barely even dive through into the expansion yet. So much more to come. Just this patch. Wait for the next one, and the next one, and so on. It's just bad bullets with Mon Daniel's death. Doesn't deserve to live. I love this thing. Anyways.
Cannot stop us!
First, we must protect the tower. Harbingers elect baby sisters. Angus.
Let's give them a show!
Heals from Donald. I'm seeing something. see that until it killed me.
show!
Is everyone all right?
We fortified the captives with what magics we could. Have the defenses been disabled? All appears quiet for the moment.
The lower floors were disturbing enough, but this place feels wrong. The ether is heavy and thick, like wading through a quagmire.
I believe we stand in the tower's beating heart. What sayest thou, Stola?
I see it. Ether siphoned from the land runs up through the spire, flowing to a single point. This is the core we seek. Yet something is off. As large as this structure is, it siphons far more ether than is required to sustain it. 'Tis as if the core is feeding on the energy, consuming it. I need to take a closer look. Curious. There is something there embedded inside the core. A man's limb.
What?
This is what we came to destroy?
Yes, if you would be so kind.
A man's limb. What man? Why the limb?
And that should be the end of it.
We might want to get out of here.
What now?
I dare
My
say
theory that the tower
collapsing.
might come crashing down following the core's destruction doth appear to be correct.
Couldn't have told us that
Bully for you!
before.
And how are we supposed to survive the fall?
Run. Oh. That's convenient.
What of the prisoners below?
The floor beneath our very feet dissolves. Brace yourselves!
Winter is coming.
I pray I'm not too late.
Alright. Seems like everyone's made it out.
Oh, what happened? Where are we?
By my reckoning, we're still on the island where the tower stood. But 'tis as if it never existed. Hardly a scratch. But how?
Graha, dear. Oh, you poor thing. Hopefully he's just passed out.
Graha wove a levitation spell at the last moment. Large enough to catch everyone, it would seem.
Jeez, you think that'd kill him? Impressive, though.
That explains the lack of obvious injuries.
Indeed.
The expenditure of so much ether has taken its toll. He will need plenty of rest, but should otherwise be none the worse for wear.
Well, that's good.
Then the immediate problem is what to do with our new friends here. They'll be much changed for their time in the tower. Even if their bodies are intact, I doubt we could say the same for their minds.
That's a good thing we have a way of untempering, huh?
Angelo and I will take care of that.
I have every faith in you, Alize, but there are just too many for you to treat alone.
True.
We'll send at once to Eorzea for more porksies, and call on the local mages to lend a hand.
Hail, Scions!
Bershan.
We were watching the tower when it simply disappeared. What happened here?
Yeah, we destroyed it. Guess it.
The threat is banished, and thy people delivered. They are, however, in need of treatment, and we of a secure locale and helping hands to assist us in its provision.
You shall have all this and more. Come, let us convey these unfortunate souls to the city.
Can't imagine lifting literal elephants would be easy. Oh, hey. Well, with that being done, I'm gonna have to take a break right now. We'll see you guys next time.